Introduction. Welcome back. I've got something special lined up for you. Imagine you walk into a room, and no one says a word. Yet, you already feel who is confident, who is nervous, who is hiding something, and who feels safe. A crossed arm, a restless foot, a sudden lean back. Long before words arrive, the body has already spoken. Every second your brain is reading. Silent, signals. Most of them unnoticed. Most of them honest. What if the truth people hide is not in their words, but in their bodies? This book begins where language ends. We live in a world obsessed with words. We analyze what people say, how they say it, and what they promise. Yet research shows that the majority of human communication is nonverbal. The body speaks first. The face reacts faster than thought. And instinct reveals what logic tries to conceal. What everybody is saying is not about tricks or manipulation. It is a journey into awareness learning. To observe without judgment, to understand without accusation, and to connect without fear. T's book teaches that the body is driven by the limbic brain, the emotional brain that reacts before words are formed. Feet move away from discomfort. Shoulders rise under stress. Hands reveal confidence or anxiety. These signals are not rehearsed, they are automatic. By learning to read them, we gain insight not only into others, but into ourselves. T's is not a book about catching lies. It is about recognizing comfort, discomfort, confidence, fear, and trust. It invites you to slow down, observe carefully, and replace assumptions with understanding. Each chapter unfolds one principle of nonverbal communication, supported by real-life observation and practical application. As you move forward, remember these. The goal is not control, but clarity. Not suspicion, but awareness. When you learn to read what everybody is saying without words, you begin to listen at a deeper level, and relationships, leadership, and communication change forever. For more amazing videos, subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, comment your thoughts, and share with friends. Don't forget the bell icon. Chapter 1. The silent language we all speak. Before a single word is spoken, communication has already begun. A slight shift in posture, a tightening of the jaw, feet pointing toward the exit, shoulders relaxing, widening. These movements happen instinctively. They are not planned, rehearsed, or filtered. They emerge from the limbic brain, the emotional center that reacts faster than conscious thought. This is the silent language every human speaks, whether they realize it or not. Most people believe communication is about words. We analyze sentences, promises, explanations, and arguments. Yet words are often the least reliable part of communication. People can lie with words, polish them, manipulate them, or hide behind them. The body, however, is honest by default. It reacts to comfort and discomfort instantly. This is why learning to observe nonverbal behavior is not about becoming suspicious of others, but about becoming aware of reality. The human body evolved long before spoken language. Survival depended on reading subtle signals: friend or threat, safety or danger. Even today, those ancient instincts guide behavior. When someone feels uncomfortable, their body creates distance. When they feel confident, their posture expands. When anxiety appears, hands fidget, breathing changes, and muscles tighten. These reactions are not signs of weakness, they are signs of humanity. One of the most important principles in understanding body language is context. A single gesture means nothing on its own. Crossed arms do not always signal defensiveness. Avoiding eye contact does not always mean dishonesty. Emotional intelligence and observation requires patience. You must observe clusters of behavior over time and compare them to a person's baseline, their normal, relaxed state. Only then does meaning emerge. Comfort and discomfort are the core signals the body expresses. When people feel comfortable, their movements are fluid, open, and relaxed. When discomfort appears, the body tightens, protects, or withdraws. Feet may point away. The torso may lean back. Hands may disappear. These reactions happen automatically because the limbic brain prioritizes safety over social politeness. Feet are among the most honest parts of the body. They are far from the face, less consciously controlled, and closely tied to instinct. Feet pointing towards someone often signal interest or comfort. Feet angled toward an exit suggest a desire to leave. In tense situations, feet may bounce, shift, or freeze, reflecting internal stress. Learning to observe feet gives insight into emotions people may never verbalize. Hands also reveal emotional states. Open palms suggest comfort and honesty. Clenched fists often indicate stress or frustration. Hands touching the face, neck, or throat may signal anxiety as the body attempts to. Again, these signals must be observed in clusters and within context. One gesture alone does not tell a story. Patterns do. The face communicates emotion rapidly. Micro-expressions, brief flashes of emotion can appear and disappear in fractions of a second. While people can control their smiles, they cannot always control these fleeting expressions. Raised eyebrows, tightened lips, or a brief look of fear can reveal emotional truth before words catch up. Observation requires stillness, patience, and presence. Posture reflects confidence and emotional state. Expanded posture often signals confidence or comfort, while contracted posture may signal stress or insecurity. Slumped shoulders, lowered head, or guarded positioning are the body's way of protecting itself. None of these signals mean something is wrong. They simply mean something is being felt. It is critical to understand that body language is not a tool for judgment. It is a tool for understanding. The goal is not to label people, but to read emotional temperature. When you understand what someone is feeling, you can respond with empathy, clarity, and intelligence. Misreading or overanalyzing gestures without compassion leads to misunderstanding. Equally important is awareness of your own body language. Others are reading you just as you read them. Your posture, tone, facial expressions, and gestures communicate confidence, openness, or tension. Emotional intelligence begins internally. When you regulate your own body language, you create safety for others. This chapter introduces a shift in perception. Instead of listening only to words, you begin listening with your eyes. Instead of reacting to what is said, you observe what is felt. This awareness changes conversations, negotiations, leadership, and relationships. You stop guessing and start understanding. Practice for today. In your next interaction, say less and observe more. Notice posture, hands, feet, and facial expressions without judgment. Compare behavior to baseline. Ask yourself one simple question. Does this person seem comfortable or uncomfortable? That question alone opens the door to deeper insight. Chapter 2. Establishing baseline. The foundation of observation. Before you can interpret body language accurately, you must understand what is normal for the person you are observing. Everyone has habits, gestures, and movements that are natural to them. Some people talk with their hands constantly. Others rarely move them. Some fidget when nervous. Others remain still. These individual patterns form the baseline, the reference point against which deviations signal emotional change. Baseline observation is the first step in reading the silent language. Without it, gestures can be misinterpreted. A person who crosses arms out of habit may not be defensive. Someone who frequently touches their face may not be anxious. Observing behavior over time allows you to notice patterns and detect deviations. It is only in contrast to baseline that meaning emerges. The most effective baseline is established in neutral, low-pressure situations. Watch people when they are relaxed and comfortable. Notice posture, hand gestures, facial expressions, foot movements, and eye behavior. These observations create a map of what is normal for that individual. Once baseline is known, you can detect subtle changes that indicate stress, discomfort, interest, or deceit. Facial expressions are a key component of baseline observation. Some people smile frequently even when uncomfortable. Others rarely smile, even when happy. Some may blink rapidly when focused, others may maintain steady eye contact naturally. Recognizing these personal tendencies prevents misreading signals and reduces false assumptions. Posture establishes the emotional frame of the body. People have habitual stances, whether confident, reserved, or relaxed. Noticing baseline posture allows you to detect shifts in engagement or emotion. For example, leaning slightly forward may be normal for one person but unusual for another. The deviation from baseline communicates, meaning hands provide insight when observed against the baseline. Some people constantly gesture while speaking. Others remain still. Observing habitual hand movements establishes a reference. Any sudden change, clenching, touching the face, rubbing, or hiding hands signals an emotional response. These deviations often reveal feelings before words emerge. Feet are often overlooked, but are among the most honest indicators. Baseline observation reveals how a person naturally positions and moves their feet. Some tap lightly when excited, others shift weight frequently. Some keep feet still. Changes from baseline pointing toward or away from a person, tapping, or shifting weight signal emotional response, often before the face or hands reflect it. Voice and speech patterns are part of the baseline too. Observe normal speaking pace, tone, volume, and rhythm. Sudden changes in tone, hesitation, faster or slower speech, or unexpected pauses can indicate stress, discomfort, or heightened emotion. Voice is a subtle but powerful indicator when compared to baseline behavior. Timing and clusters matter. One gesture alone rarely tells a story. A single crossed arm or brief glance does not reveal intent. Emotional intelligence relies on clusters of behavior and context. Deviations from baseline appearing across multiple channels. Facial expression, hands, posture, voice carry stronger meaning than isolated movements. Environment affects baseline too. People behave differently in familiar versus unfamiliar settings. Establishing baseline in environments where the person feels safe allows more accurate detection of deviations. Stressful or high-stakes environments may exaggerate natural behavior, so understanding context is critical. The limbic brain reacts instinctively to perceived threat or comfort. Baseline observation lets you see how instinct manifests naturally in an individual. Once baseline is known, changes caused by fear, attraction, tension, or deception become noticeable. This is the foundation of accurate, nonverbal reading. Practice begins with quiet observation. In the next casual interaction, focus not on what is said, but how it is said and how the body behaves. Notice patterns, habitual gestudes, and baseline expressions. Record them mentally without judgment. Observe clusters rather than isolated actions. Establishing a baseline is not about spying. It is about understanding. It allows empathy, insight, and connection. Once you know the normal rhythm of another person's body, you can detect subtle emotional signals that words may hide, creating clarity in communication and relationships. Mastering baseline observation transforms how you perceive people. Conversations, negotiations, friendships, and leadership interactions all become richer. Awareness of baseline allows you to notice the silent language, respond appropriately, and navigate human behavior with precision and care. Practice takeaway. Spend one day silently observing a person in relaxed conditions. Note posture, facial expressions, hand gestures, feet movement, and voice. Identify what is normal. Compare deviations in later interactions to understand emotional states. The silent language speaks only when you are ready to listen. Chapter 3: Clusters and Context. The art of accurate interpretation. Understanding body language is not about memorizing isolated gestures. A single action, crossed arms, a hand on the neck, a smile rarely tells the full story. The power lies in observing clusters of behavior and interpreting them within the context of the situation. Without this, even experienced observers can misread signals, drawing false conclusions that distort understanding. A cluster occurs when two or more nonverbal cues appear together, reinforcing the same emotional message. For example, someone may lean back slightly, cross their arms, and glance toward the door. Alone, each gesture could have multiple meanings. Together, they signaled discomfort or a desire to exit. Emotional intelligence relies on noticing these clusters rather than overemphasizing a single movement. Context is equally important. Gestures have different meanings, depending on the environment, culture, and situation. A hand touching the face could indicate anxiety, boredom, or simply a habit. A smile could reflect genuine joy, politeness, or even masking discomfort. Context allows the observer to weigh these possibilities accurately. Without it, clusters may be misinterpreted. Timing adds another layer to interpretation. When a gesture occurs in response to a specific event or statement, it carries more significance than a random movement. For instance, if a person's eyebrows raise just as a question is asked, this may indicate surprise, doubt, or attention. Timing connects behavior to cause, giving meaning to silent signals. Facial expressions are particularly nuanced. While some microexpressions are universal, like brief flashes of anger, fear, or happiness, others depend on individual baseline patterns. Observing clusters of facial movements in context allows for accurate decoding. A furrowed brow paired with tightened lips and a quick shift in gaze often signals skepticism or discomfort, while the same brow movement alone could be meaningless. Hands and arms communicate intention and emotion, especially in clusters. Open palms paired with relaxed posture convey comfort and honesty. Fidgeting hands combined with restless foot movement often indicate stress or unease. The meaning strengthens as multiple gestures reinforce the same emotional message. Observing clusters prevents overreaction to single, ambiguous movements. Feet are subtle but honest communicators. Pointing, tapping, shifting weight, and other foot behaviors reveal inclination, comfort, and engagement. When these movements occur in clusters with facial expressions, hand gestures, and posture, their meaning becomes clear. For example, feet pointing toward an exit, paired with leaning away and crossed arms, signals discomfort or avoidance. Voice clusters provide additional information. Changes in pitch, tempo, volume, or pauses often accompany body cues, reinforcing or contradicting the emotional message. A calm voice paired with tense posture may indicate controlled discomfort, whereas a fast-paced, high-pitched tone with animated gestures suggests excitement or anxiety. Listening carefully to these patterns enriches understanding. Clusters also matter in deception detection. While no single gesture proves dishonesty, combinations of gestures that conflict with verbal content can indicate For example, someone saying, "I'm fine," while their shoulders shrink, hands cover the mouth, and eyes shift rapidly suggests stress or concealment. Clusters reveal internal states beyond what words express. The observer must also consider cultural and individual variations. Gestures may have different meanings across societies, and personal habits create exceptions. Clusters help navigate these complexities by relying on consistency and pattern rather than isolated signs. Emotional intelligence balances universal cues with individual differences. Practical application begins with slow, deliberate observation. In any interaction, scan for clusters rather than single gestures. Observe how body, face, voice, and timing interact. Note deviations from baseline within context. Emotional intelligence grows by combining observation with interpretation, not assumption. One effective strategy is to watch for congruence or incongruence. Do gestures match words? Does posture align with tone? Clusters revealing mismatch indicate emotional tension, caution, or concealment. Conversely, alignment of words, voice, and body indicates comfort, honesty, or engagement. This alignment builds trust and clarity in communication. Clusters also highlight subtle changes over time. A person may gradually display increased tension in posture, faster foot tapping, or tightened hands. Observing these trends reveals emotional escalation, stress, or growing discomfort, providing actionable insight. Context further guides application. Observe the environment, relationships, and circumstances. Stress cues may be situational rather than personal. Recognizing environmental influence ensures interpretations are accurate and compassionate. Emotional intelligence requires seeing behavior as a reflection of both internal states and external pressures. Practice. During your next conversation, observe clusters. Instead of single gestures, watch posture, hands, feet, and facial expressions. Note timing and alignment with words. Ask, are the signals consistent? Are they changing from baseline? How does context influence? Meaning, mastering clusters and context transforms observation into understanding. You move from guessing to insight, from assumption to awareness. Each interaction becomes a lesson in human behavior, revealing not just what people say, but what they truly feel. The silent language speaks most clearly when patterns emerge, aligned with timing, baseline, and environment. Clusters and context are the lenses through which body language becomes intelligible. Alone, gestures are ambiguous. Together, in context, they are honest reflections of thought, emotion, and intention. Learning to read these signals is the key to listening without words, understanding without asking, and connecting beyond surface communication. Chapter 4. Eyes and Micro-Expressions. The windows to emotion. The eyes are the window to the soul. This old saying has never been more relevant than in the study of nonverbal communication. The eyes are among the most revealing parts of the body, expressing emotions that words cannot fully convey. Combined with micro-expressions, those fleeting, involuntary facial expressions that last only a fraction of a second, the eyes provide a wealth of information about a person's internal state. Micro-expressions are brief flashes of emotion that occur before conscious control can mask them. Fear, anger, surprise, disgust, sadness, and happiness can all appear in milliseconds, often unnoticed by casual observers. These tiny expressions betray true feelings, offering insight into someone's comfort, confidence, or discomfort. Learning to recognize and interpret micro-expressions is essential to understanding the silent language. The eyes reveal attention and focus. Pupils dilate with interest or attraction and constrict under stress or discomfort. Rapid blinking may indicate tension, while steady eye contact suggests engagement. Avoidance of eye contact is often a signal of discomfort or insecurity, though cultural norms and individual personality must always be considered. Baseline observation helps determine what is normal for each individual. Subtle movements of the eyebrows provide additional cues. A quick raise may indicate surprise, curiosity, or doubt. Furrowing signals concentration, worry, or confusion. When combined with eye movement and other facial expressions, these cues create a more complete picture of emotional state. Observing clusters ensures that interpretation is accurate and contextualized. Smiles are complex and revealing, especially when combined with micro-expressions. A genuine smile involves not just the mouth, but the eyes raising the cheeks and creating crow's feet, known as a Duchenne smile. Fake or polite smiles often involve the mouth only, leaving the eyes unchanged. Emotional intelligence allows us to notice these differences, distinguishing sincerity from social pretense. The timing of micro-expressions is critical. A fleeting flash of fear, anger, or surprise before a verbal response can indicate true reaction, even if words attempt to mask it. Observing how expressions, align or misaligned with spoken content, provides insight into underlying emotion. Discrepancies often highlight tension, discomfort, or concealed feelings. The gaze is a powerful tool in both giving and reading signals. Eye direction can indicate focus, interest, or intention. Looking towards someone's body, face, or gestures often signals attention and engagement. Eyes moving toward exits or distractions may reveal discomfort or desire to disengage. Emotional intelligence trains observers to notice these subtle directional cues. Cultural and individual differences shape eye behavior. Some cultures maintain prolonged eye contact as a sign of respect, while others view it as confrontational. Some individuals are naturally shy, avoiding prolonged eye engagement. Establishing baseline helps determine deviations that indicate emotional shifts rather than misinterpretation. Micro-expressions extend beyond fear, anger, and happiness. Complex feelings like confusion, skepticism, and empathy can manifest subtly in eye movement, brow shifts, and fleeting facial tension. Observing these signs enhances understanding of others' internal states and allows more sensitive and effective responses. The integration of eyes and micro-expressions with body clusters strengthens interpretation. For instance, a fleeting look of disgust paired with a slight backward lean, crossed arms, and tense hands conveys emotional rejection more reliably than any single cue. Context and alignment with baseline behavior are essential to avoid misreading signals. Practice in observing micro-expressions begins with still observation. Watch people in neutral low-pressure situations. Note how their eyes move, how eyebrows shift, and how fleeting expressions occur. Compare a baseline to recognize meaningful deviations. Over time, this develops rapid recognition of emotion in real interactions. Empathy is heightened by understanding the eyes. Observing subtle expressions allows insight into others' feelings, needs, and comfort levels. This is crucial in communication, negotiation, leadership, and personal relationships. Emotional intelligence turns observation into understanding, and understanding into connection. Eyes and micro-expressions are also invaluable in detecting stress and deception. While no single expression guarantees truth or falsehood, clusters of subtle facial movements and eye behaviors can signal internal tension or concealment. For example, a person saying, "I am fine," while their eyes flash fear or concern, indicates emotional alerting observers to pay closer attention. The observer's own eyes also communicate silently. Awareness of your gaze, blinking, and expression enhances credibility and connection. Controlled eye contact fosters trust, openness, and engagement, while inconsistent or avoidant gaze may generate discomfort or suspicion. Emotional intelligence begins internally, reflecting outwardly. Practice takeaway. In your next conversation, focus on observing the eyes. Notice pupil dilation, direction, blink rate, and fleeting expressions. Compare to baseline. Watch how these cues align with words, posture, and gestures. Ask, what is the person feeling beneath their words? How does their emotional state manifest in micro-expressions? Mastering the eyes and micro-expressions allows you to perceive subtle truth that words cannot convey. It turns observation into insight, and insight into understanding. The silent language becomes clearer, richer, and more human. Every glance, every flicker of expression speaks volumes to those who know how to see. Chapter 5. Hands, Feet, and Posture. The body speaks. Hands, feet, and posture are powerful communicators in the silent language. While faces and eyes reveal emotion, the body provides context, intent, and authenticity. Observing these areas gives insight into confidence, discomfort, interest, or deception. They are less consciously controlled than words or facial expressions, making them reliable indicators when interpreted carefully within context. Hands often reveal internal emotional states. Open hands, palms facing up, suggest honesty, openness, and comfort. Closed fists or hidden hands may signal tension, frustration, or concealment. Touching the face, neck, or hair often indicates anxiety or self-soothing behavior. Gestures that contradict verbal statements may reveal subconscious feelings. For instance, saying "I'm confident" while wringing hands suggests internal doubt. Clusters of hand movements are more revealing than single gestures. Fidgeting combined with foot shifting and tense posture reinforces signs of discomfort. Conversely, relaxed hands paired with open posture and steady gaze indicate ease and engagement. Observing hand movement within context prevents misinterpretation and enhances accurate understanding. Feet are often the most honest part of the body. People cannot easily control where their feet point or how they move. Feet pointing towards someone can indicate interest or engagement, while feet angled toward exits suggest a desire to leave. Tapping, bouncing, or shifting weight can signal impatience, excitement, or stress. Observing feet along with hands, posture, and facial expressions provides a holistic understanding of emotional state. Posture communicates emotion and social intent on a larger scale. An open, upright stance signals confidence, readiness, and engagement. Contracted or slouched posture reflects discomfort, insecurity, or disengagement. Leaning forward demonstrates interest, while leaning back may indicate defensiveness or withdrawal. Posture interacts with hands and feet to convey a consistent message. Changes from baseline posture are particularly revealing. Someone normally relaxed who suddenly tightens shoulders or shifts weight may be responding to stress, threat, or surprise. Similarly, an individual who usually avoids hand gestures but suddenly starts fidgeting may be experiencing tension. These deviations, when observed in clusters, provide insight into emotional dynamics. Gestures also carry cultural and individual variation. While open palms are generally a universal sign of honesty, some gestures may have different meanings depending on social context. Establishing baseline behavior is crucial to accurately interpret hand and body movements. Observing patterns over time reduces the risk of misreading signals. Feet can indicate internal conflict or decision-making processes. People often shift weight from one foot to another when uncertain or anxious. Foot movement can precede verbal statements, revealing internal hesitation or eagerness. This is why trained observers pay close attention to the lower body, even when attention is drawn to the face or hands. Posture, hands, and feet interact with micro-expressions and eye movement to form clusters that enhance accuracy. A smile may seem genuine until paired with crossed arms, bouncing feet, an averted gaze, which reveal discomfort or deception. The power of the body lies in these combinations, which reveal internal states beyond conscious control. Environmental context shapes hand, foot, and posture cues. Crowded, noisy, or high-pressure situations influence body language. Observers must distinguish between reactions to environment versus reactions to individuals or events. Awareness of situational factors ensures more accurate interpretation. Stress and nervousness often manifest first in the body. Fidgeting hands, tapping feet, or rigid posture are early indicators of tension. Recognizing these signs allows preemptive adjustment in communication. Responding with empathy or patience can diffuse tension before it escalates into conflict or misunderstanding. In social interactions, mirroring hand gestures, posture, or movements subtly builds Identify clusters that indicate comfort, tension, or interest. Notice alignment or conflict with verbal content. Reflect on what these cues reveal about emotional state. Hands, feet, and posture are the body's vocabulary in the silent language. They express truth before words, reveal emotion beyond expression, and communicate intention naturally. By listening to the body, the silent language becomes a clear and reliable guide to understanding people. Chapter 6. Proxemics and Space. Understanding Personal Bubbles. Human beings communicate through more than gestures, posture, and micro-expressions. The space around us, how we occupy it, and how we react to others, presence known as proxemics, offers profound insight into emotions, intentions, and social dynamics. By observing personal space and movement, we can decode comfort, dominance, intimacy, and tension in ways that words alone never reveal. Proxemics begins with distance. People instinctively maintain personal zones that correspond to comfort and relationship. Body orientation is critical within proxemics. People naturally angle their bodies toward those they are comfortable with and away from those they distrust or feel threatened by. Even small deviations, shoulders turning slightly, feet pointing to an exit signal, subtle shifts in engagement. Observing orientation in clusters with posture and hand movements reinforces accurate interpretation. Movement within space also communicates emotion. Stepping forward signals interest, confidence, or assertiveness. Stepping back often indicates discomfort, caution, or a desire to disengage. Pacing, shifting weight, and leaning movements provide additional context. In high-stakes environments, these cues may occur subconsciously, giving insight into intention before words are spoken. Territoriality is another dimension of proxemics. Humans instinctively claim, defend, and negotiate space. Seating arrangements, desk positioning, or personal items reflect power dynamics, social hierarchy, and comfort levels. Observing how people claim space and react to encroachments can reveal authority, insecurity, or social alignment. Cultural norms influence spatial behavior. Some cultures maintain closer interpersonal distance as a sign of connection, while others maintain distance as a mark of respect. Understanding these norms is essential to avoid misinterpretation. Establishing a baseline within a cultural context allows accurate observation of deviations that signal emotional states. Proxemics also intersects with emotional response. Anxiety, tension, or distrust often result in shrinking or withdrawing from space, while confidence and openness expand presence. Mirroring another person's distance and movement fosters comfort and rapport, while ignoring these cues may create subtle friction or discomfort. Social hierarchy and authority are reflected in space usage. Dominant individuals often occupy central positions, expand posture, or take up more physical space. Subordinates may reduce their footprint, shift orientation, or avoid direct approach. These behaviors are unconscious but highly revealing. Observing clusters of spatial behavior alongside gestures and facial cues reinforces accurate interpretation. Context matters deeply in proxemics. Environmental factors such as crowding, obstacles, or temperature influence spatial behavior. Distinguishing between reactions to the environment and reactions to people is crucial for accurate assessment. Emotional intelligence integrates awareness of both internal states and external conditions. Personal space also signals relational intention. Couples, close friends, or trusted colleagues often share space comfortably, whereas strangers or casual acquaintances maintain greater distance. Subtle shifts in proximity during interactions. Moving closer, leaning away, or adjusting posture reveal emotional response, comfort level, and interest. Foot placement and movement are particularly revealing in proxemics. Feet often point toward or away from people or objects of focus, reflecting attention and intent. Shifts, tapping, or movement while standing or sitting provide early signals of emotional state or decision-making processes. Observing these cues enhances interpretation of engagement or discomfort. Mirroring spatial behavior fosters trust. When someone subtly adjusts distance, posture, or orientation to match yours, a subconscious sense of rapport is created. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing these signals and responding appropriately, enhancing connection without manipulation. Practice begins with awareness of spatial behavior in everyday interactions. Notice how people use distance, orientation, and movement. Observe shifts in response to questions, topics, or environmental changes. Compare behavior to baseline. Look for clusters that reinforce emotional interpretation. Proxemics provides a deeper layer of understanding in human interaction. Space communicates comfort, tension, interest, dominance, and relational intention when combined with gestures, posture, and micro-expressions. It completes the picture of nonverbal communication. By learning to read personal space and movement, we gain insight into emotions and intentions that words often conceal. Emotional intelligence allows us to navigate these silent signals with awareness, empathy, and precision. Listening to space, like listening to the body, reveals what people feel, intend, and experience beyond language. The silent language speaks clearly through every inch of space we occupy. Chapter 7. The Power of Touch and Haptics. Feeling beyond words. Touch is one of the most fundamental and primal forms of communication. Long before humans spoke, contact conveyed comfort, warning, dominance, or connection. In the study of nonverbal behavior, haptics, the science of touch, reveals emotion, intention, and relational dynamics. While subtle and situational, Touch communicates in ways words cannot replicate. The type of touch carries meaning. A light tap on the shoulder can signal encouragement, support, or reassurance. A firm handshake conveys confidence or authority. A hug may express warmth, empathy, or celebration. Even brief contact, like a hand brushing against another, can indicate acknowledgement, interest, or urgency. Understanding context, baseline, and clusters is essential to interpreting these signals accurately. Touch is powerful because it bypasses the brain's filtering mechanisms. While facial expressions, posture, and words can be controlled, touch often elicits instinctive responses. This makes it a reliable indicator of emotion, intention, and relationship. For instance, a supportive hand on the back may convey empathy even when words are absent. Culture and personal boundaries influence how touch is interpreted. In some cultures, frequent contact is normal, while in others, touch is reserved for close relationships. Similarly, individual personality, past experiences, and comfort levels shape reactions to touch. Establishing baseline awareness is essential to distinguish natural responses from discomfort or resistance. Touch also conveys dominance and hierarchy. In professional or social settings, initiating contact can assert authority. A firm handshake, guiding someone with a hand on the arm, or taking control of physical space communicates confidence and leadership. Observers must note whether touch aligns with verbal and other nonverbal cues to assess intent accurately. Conversely, defensive or self-protective gestures often involve touch. Crossing arms, placing hands on the chest, or holding objects close can indicate discomfort, defensiveness, or stress. These behaviors often co-occur with foot shifts, posture, contraction, and micro-expressions, forming clusters that reveal emotional state. Touch enhances trust and rapport when used appropriately. Research shows that subtle, well-timed contact can increase likability, cooperation, and emotional connection. Mirroring touch patterns or responding to touch with congruent gestures fosters comfort and emotional alignment. Emotional intelligence guides timing, intensity, and appropriateness to avoid misinterpretation. Observing how others react at touch is equally informative. Flinching, pulling away, or sudden tension signals discomfort or fear, while relaxed responses indicate comfort and openness. The body communicates honest emotional responses, often revealing feelings before words do. Cluster analysis of touch reactions with posture, facial expressions, and vocal cues strengthens understanding. In high-stakes situations, touch can serve as a signal of intention or emotion. Leaders, negotiators, and communicators can use touch judiciously to express empathy, calm, or confidence. Misaligned or excessive touch can create tension, mistrust, or distraction, highlighting the importance of awareness and situational sensitivity. Haptics is also important in digital or remote communication contexts. While direct touch is impossible, mimicking the effect through tone, pacing, and verbal reassurance can substitute for physical presence. Understanding the psychological impact of touch deepens emotional intelligence and enhances connection, even when physical contact is absent. Practice begins with observation. Note how people use touch in everyday interactions. Observe frequency, type, intensity, and response. Compare behavior to baseline and context. Ask, does touch signal comfort, trust, dominance, or tension? How does it interact with other nonverbal cues? Touch is a language that communicates instinctively. It expresses empathy, dominance, reassurance, or discomfort. Combined with posture, gestures, and facial expressions, it completes the nonverbal picture. Emotional intelligence allows us to interpret touch accurately, respond appropriately, and build deeper connections. By learning the subtleties of haptics, we understand what others feel beyond their words. The silent language communicates through every gesture, movement, and touch. Mastering it opens doors to empathy, connection, and influence, allowing us to interact with people on a level that transcends language. Touch is not merely physical. It is emotional, instinctive, and powerful. When observed carefully, it reveals the truth that words often hide. Emotional intelligence transforms touch from a subtle signal into a tool for understanding, connection, and meaningful communication. Chapter 8. Vocal Cues and Paralanguage. The tone behind words communication is not just what we say, but how we say it. The tone, pitch, rhythm, volume, and pace of our voice, collectively known as paralanguage, convey emotion, emphasis, and intent beyond words. Even a single sentence can carry multiple layers of meaning. When vocal cues are considered alongside body language and facial expressions, paralanguage begins with tone. A calm, steady tone signals confidence and control, while a high-pitched or shaky tone suggests anxiety, stress, or excitement. Tone sets the emotional context for words, often revealing what someone truly feels beneath their verbal message. For instance, a flat tone may convey disinterest, while a warm tone signals engagement and empathy. Pitch variation communicates emotion subtly. Rising pitch may indicate surprise, uncertainty, or question, while falling pitch conveys certainty, finality, or authority. Skilled observers notice micro-changes in pitch that reveal subconscious reactions. Emotional intelligence allows us to integrate these variations into understanding others' feelings accurately. Volume and emphasis also carry meaning. Loud speech can indicate confidence, dominance, or aggression, while soft speech may reveal shyness, fear, or caution. Stressing certain words or phrases highlights importance or emotional intensity. Clusters of vocal cues, combined with facial expressions, posture, and gestures, provide a richer understanding of true sentiment. Pacing and pauses are key indicators of cognitive and emotional states. Rapid speech often reflects excitement, anxiety, or urgency, whereas slow, measured speech may suggest calmness, confidence, or thoughtfulness. Strategic pauses signal reflection, hesitation, or discomfort. Observing pacing in relation to baseline speech patterns enhances accuracy in interpreting emotion. Breathing patterns reveal emotion as well. Shallow or rapid breathing may indicate stress or nervousness, while deep, steady breaths reflect relaxation and confidence. Observing changes in breathing in context with other nonverbal cues adds another layer of insight into emotional state. Vocal fillers, such as zoom or repeated words, indicate uncertainty or cognitive load. While everyone uses fillers occasionally, deviations from baseline frequency can signal discomfort, hesitation, or concealment. Observing clusters of these vocal cues alongside gestures and microexpressions increases accuracy. Paralanguage also interacts with social dynamics and authority. Leaders and influencers often modulate tone, pace, and volume to assert control or convey reassurance. Observers can detect authenticity by comparing vocal cues to body language. Genuine confidence is reflected across voice, posture, and facial expression, while incongruence signals tension, deception, or guarded emotion. Cultural and individual differences influence vocal communication. Some cultures speak more rapidly or with wider tonal variation, while others maintain monotone or low-volume speech as norm. Establishing baseline patterns for an individual prevents misinterpretation of vocal cues. Emotional intelligence requires balancing universal principles with personal and cultural context. Vocal mimicry or mirroring builds rapport. Subtle matching of pace, tone, and rhythm can foster connection, trust, and comfort in conversation. This strategy is most effective when combined with congruent gestures, posture, and facial expressions, creating a seamless alignment of verbal and nonverbal communication. Practicing observation of vocal cues begins with active listening. Focus not only on the words, but on how they are delivered. Notice tone, pitch, volume, rhythm, breathing, and fillers. Compare to baseline and observe clusters with gestures and expressions. Ask, are words, body, and voice aligned? Where are the discrepancies? Vocal cues also reveal emotional escalation or tension. Sudden increases in pitch, volume, or rate may indicate stress or excitement, while decreasing volume or monotone delivery may signal disengagement. Observing these patterns allows for timely, empathetic, and effective responses. Paralanguage complements all other nonverbal communication. A smile, paired with a warm tone, reinforces comfort, while crossed arms, combined with a harsh tone, signals defensiveness. The interaction of voice with micro-expressions, posture, and gestures creates a complete map of emotion and intent. In relationships, leadership, or negotiation, understanding paralanguage enhances influence, empathy, and clarity. It allows us to detect subtle emotional states, respond appropriately, and communicate with greater impact. Vocal cues often reveal what words attempt to conceal, bridging the gap between expression and understanding. Practice takeaway. In your next conversation, focus on listening beyond words. Note, tone, pitch, rhythm, and volume. Observe deviations from baseline, clusters with gestures, posture, and micro-expressions. Ask, what is the person feeling beneath their words? How does vocal delivery reveal emotion, intention, or engagement? Mastering paralanguage turns communication into a multi-dimensional experience. Words are only part of the story. Tone, rhythm, and pacing reveal the silent truths beneath. By combining observation of vocal cues with body language and micro-expressions, emotional intelligence allows us to listen, understand, and connect with depth and accuracy. The voice speaks volumes beyond words. When we attune ourselves to its subtleties, we uncover hidden emotion, intention, and truth. Paralanguage is the invisible thread that binds speech to feeling, creating clarity, understanding, and genuine human connection. Chapter 9. Emotional Triggers. Reading reactions before words. Human emotions are instinctive, powerful, and often uncontrollable. They arise before conscious thought and manifest in the body, voice, and face. By observing emotional triggers, we can anticipate reactions, understand feelings, and respond effectively. Emotional intelligence lies not only in reading these triggers, but in interpreting them with context and empathy. Every individual has unique triggers shaped by experiences, beliefs, and personality. Certain topics, words, or situations can cause immediate emotional responses: tightened posture, flushed face, quickened breathing, or clenched fists. Observing these responses provides insight into underlying values, fears, and desires, even when words attempt to hide them. Micro-reactions are critical in detecting emotional triggers. A slight flinch, eye blink, or brief muscle tension can indicate discomfort, surprise, or fear. These micro-responses often occur before conscious control engages, revealing what a person genuinely feels. Clusters of these subtle signals strengthen interpretation and prevent misreading isolated actions. Stress triggers often appear first in the body. Shoulders tighten, hands fidget, and feet shift or tap. Posture contracts, breathing becomes shallow, and vocal patterns change. By comparing behavior to baseline, observers can detect emotional escalation or tension before verbal cues emerge. Recognizing these early signs allows for timely, empathetic responses. Positive emotional triggers are equally telling. Relaxed posture, open hands, smiles that reach the eyes, and forward-lining orientation signal comfort, engagement, and trust. Pupils may dilate, gestures may expand, and voice tone may warm. These signs indicate readiness to connect, collaborate, or communicate authentically. Emotional triggers are context-dependent. A gesture, glance, or vocal change may signify different emotions depending on environment, culture, or circumstance. Crossed arms in a cold room may indicate physical discomfort, not defensiveness. Smiling during a tense conversation may signal politeness rather than genuine happiness. Baseline observation ensures accurate interpretation. Facial micro-expressions reveal hidden reactions to triggers. A fleeting look of fear, anger, or disgust often appears before words can conceal it. Eyebrows furrow, lips tighten, and eyes widen in response to stimuli. These reactions are instinctive, universal, and rapid, providing a direct window into emotion when observed carefully. Vocal changes are powerful indicators of emotional triggers. Tone, pitch, pace, and volume shift instinctively with internal reaction. Rapid speech, elevated pitch, or sudden pauses may signal anxiety, excitement, or hesitation. Conversely, a calm, steady voice paired with relaxed posture reflects comfort and control. Vocal cues, combined with body clusters, reveal authenticity and intensity. Hands and feet amplify the message of emotional triggers. Clenched fists, rubbing of hands, fidgeting, and restless feet reveal tension or stress. Feet pointing away from someone indicate discomfort or desire to disengage. Open palms, relaxed gestures, and aligned posture communicate openness, trust, and engagement. Observing these cues in clusters enhances clarity. Triggers are especially relevant in social interactions, leadership, and negotiation. Recognizing when someone is emotionally engaged, stressed, or defensive allows tailored responses. Empathy becomes actionable when we respond to silent signals before miscommunication escalates. Leaders who notice triggers can de-escalate tension, inspire confidence, and foster trust. Emotional intelligence includes self-awareness of triggers. Our own response is body tension, vocal shifts, micro-expressions reveal internal emotional states. Monitoring personal reactions allows for regulation, ensuring clarity and composure. Observing triggers in others and ourselves creates alignment, mutual understanding, and effective communication. Practice begins with observation. During interactions, identify micro-reactions, posture shifts, and vocal changes in response to stimuli. Compared to baseline, ask which behaviors signal discomfort, interest, or stress, which indicate engagement or trust. Observe clusters rather than single cues. Over time, pattern recognition develops, allowing rapid understanding of emotional triggers. Emotional triggers form the invisible pulse of human interaction. They manifest instinctively, often before words are spoken. Observing them with awareness, context, and empathy provides insight into intention, feeling, and truth. Mastering this skill enhances connection, influence, and communication, turning silent signals into actionable understanding. The body and voice respond first, instinctively, honestly. Emotional triggers speak before reasoning, before explanation, before excuses. By reading these reactions, we perceive the truth beneath words, navigate interactions wisely, and respond with awareness, compassion, and precision. The silent language becomes vivid, reliable, and transformative when we learn to see emotion before it is hidden. Chapter 1. Deception and Truth. Reading beyond words. Deception is a subtle art, often unnoticed in casual conversation. Yet the human body rarely lies. While words can be manipulated, polished, or rehearsed, the body and voice reveal truth. Emotional intelligence allows us to detect incongruence between verbal content and nonverbal signals, providing insight into honesty, discomfort, and hidden intention. A key principle is congruence. When words, tone, posture, and facial expressions align, communication is usually authentic. For example, a genuine apology will be accompanied by lowered shoulders, softened eyes, and a warm, steady voice. In contrast, if words express regret while the body signals tension, crossed arms or fleeting micro-expressions of anger, incongruence appears, suggesting partial or concealed truth. Micro-expressions are essential in detecting deception. Even brief flashes of fear, contempt, or disgust can betray dishonesty. A person may smile while feeling guilty or anxious, but their eyes and subtle muscle movements may reveal the truth. Observing clusters of micro-expressions across face, hands, and posture enhances detection accuracy. Voice reveals deception as well. Changes in pitch, tempo, hesitation, or unnatural pauses often accompany lies. Speakers may overemphasize words, repeat phrases unnecessarily, or adopt a formal tone to sound credible. Comparing vocal cues to baseline speech patterns allows observers to detect inconsistencies that suggest concealed information or discomfort. Hands and gestures can contradict verbal statements. Fidgeting, covering the mouth, touching the neck, or wringing hands may indicate anxiety or uncertainty. Conversely, controlled or overly rigid gestures may indicate conscious suppression. Observing these clusters alongside words provides a more complete understanding. Feet are revealing in deceptive contexts. Subtle shifts pointing toward exits, tap-in, or sudden movements often signal a desire to disengage or escape from a stressful interaction. Because feet are less consciously controlled, they are reliable indicators of internal state and instinctive reactions. Posture and body orientation contribute to detecting deception. Leaning back, contracting the torso, or turning slightly away can indicate discomfort or distrust. Conversely, someone attempting to appear confident may exaggerate upright posture, chest forward, or open gestures, but clusters of microtensions often betray underlying tension. Timing is critical. Deceptive responses may appear delayed, rushed, or unnatural. A person may pause too long to construct an answer or respond too quickly to avoid scrutiny. These temporal deviations, combined with clusters of nonverbal cues, reveal cognitive load and emotional stress associated with deception. Context matters profoundly in interpreting deceptive signals. Environmental stress, fatigue, or cultural norms can mimic signs of dishonesty. Establishing baseline behavior allows accurate detection by comparing deviations rather than relying on universal assumptions. Emotional intelligence prevents false judgments by integrating context, clusters, and baseline patterns. Even truthful people may exhibit stress when discussing sensitive topics. The goal is not to accuse, but to understand emotional state. Recognizing tension or discomfort enhances empathy and communication, allowing appropriate response whether the individual is lying, nervous, or overwhelmed. Practice begins with observation in low-stakes interactions. Notice congruence between words, tone, posture, hands, feet, and facial expressions. Identify clusters, timing, and deviations from baseline. Ask, do gestures align with words? Are microexpressions consistent with verbal content? Does the body reveal comfort, tension, or concealment? Deception detection relies on patterns, not absolutes. No single gesture or word confirms dishonesty. Accuracy comes from observing clusters, context, baseline, and emotional congruence. Emotional intelligence allows interpretation with nuance, empathy, and awareness, avoiding judgment while understanding truth. Detecting incongruence enhances communication, negotiation, and relationships. Awareness of hidden signals enables responsive, empathetic interaction, ensuring clarity even when words attempt to obscure. Leaders, negotiators, and communicators who master this skill gain trust, influence, and insight. Truth and deception are not always black and white. People often shade reality unintentionally. The body speaks instinctively, revealing authentic emotion beneath conscious control. Observing microexpressions, posture, hands, feet, and voice in clusters, with attention to context and baseline, allows us to see beyond words. Emotional intelligence transforms the act of observation into understanding. Deception is not merely about catching lies, it is about perceiving emotional reality, responding with awareness, and connecting authentically. By reading beyond words, we learn the language that people cannot hide. The silent, honest signals that speak the truth before thought, intention, or excuse. Chapter 11. Building rapport and influence. The quiet power of connection, human connection, is the foundation of influence, leadership, and meaningful relationships. While words matter, nonverbal communication often determines whether trust, comfort, and cooperation emerge. By observing, understanding, and responding to silent signals, we can build rapport effectively and ethically, enhancing personal and professional relationships. Rapport begins with attunement, aligning with another person's energy, posture, gestures, tone, and pace. Subtle mirroring of body language fosters comfort and empathy. When someone leans forward, slightly mirroring that movement shows engagement. Matching vocal rhythm and tone increases trust and connection. These adjustments must be subtle and natural. Overdoing them may seem manipulative or artificial. Listening actively enhances rapport. Observing facial expressions, hand movements, and eye behavior provides insight into emotional state. Responding to these signals through acknowledgement, empathy, or verbal affirmation demonstrates understanding. People instinctively respond positively when they feel seen, heard, and emotionally understood. Emotional intelligence allows us to navigate these interactions with authenticity. Empathy is central to influence. It requires perceiving emotion accurately and responding appropriately, recognizing subtle cues, micro-expressions, hand gestures, tone, posture reveals feelings beyond spoken words. Validating these emotions, whether joy, concern, or anxiety, strengthens trust and deepens connection. Empathy transforms observation into action. Clusters of cues guide rapport building. A smile, relaxed posture, steady eye contact, and open hands collectively indicate comfort. Leaning slightly forward while nodding subtly signals engagement. Observing clusters rather than isolated gestures ensures accurate perception and prevents misinterpretation. Context and baseline are essential for understanding what is typical for each individual. Proxemics, or use of space, impacts rapport. Respecting personal space demonstrates sensitivity and builds comfort. Adjusting distance naturally to the context and cultural norms fosters ease in interactions. Observing shifts in proximity, leaning in, stepping back, or orienting the body provides insight into receptivity and engagement. Touch, when appropriate, enhances trust and connection. A handshake, pat on the shoulder, or brief reassuring touch signals empathy, support, and sincerity. Observing reactions to touch is critical. Relaxed response indicates comfort, while tension or withdrawal signals discomfort. Ethical use of haptics strengthens rapport without coercion. Vocal cues amplify connection. Matching tone, pace, and volume subtly, while expressing warmth and interest, enhances emotional alignment. Pauses, inflections, and empathetic acknowledgement through voice communicate understanding beyond words. Listening for inconsistencies between tone and words reveals authentic emotion, guiding responsive engagement. Consistency and authenticity are critical in influence. People intuitively detect insincerity through micro-expressions, posture, and voice. Aligning verbal and nonverbal behavior establishes credibility. Influence grows from genuine presence, emotional attunement, and the ability to respond to others' silent signals thoughtfully. Conflict and tension are inevitable in relationships. Recognizing early signs, crossed arms, foot shifts, micro-expressions of discomfort allows proactive management. Responding calmly and empathetically to emotional cues can de-escalate conflict, foster understanding, and maintain rapport. Emotional intelligence ensures that influence is exercised responsibly, not coercively. Building influence requires awareness of emotional triggers. Observing what excites, frustrates, or motivates a person allows engagement that resonates. Clusters of body language, vocal tone, and micro-expressions provide insight into preferences and boundaries. Influence is maximized when responses align with observed emotional cues. Practice begins with conscious observation. In conversations, note clusters of facial expressions, posture, gestures, vocal tone, and proximity. Identify patterns that indicate comfort, tension, or engagement. Adjust your own behavior subtly to foster alignment and empathy. Reflect on which adjustments create positive response and strengthen connection. Rapport is both art and science. It emerges from observation, empathy, and responsiveness. Silent signals guide us to understand unspoken needs, emotions, and intentions. Emotional intelligence allows interpretation of these cues, fostering trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. Influence is the natural byproduct of authentic connection. By mastering the silent language through eyes, micro-expressions, posture, gestures, voice, space, and touch, we gain insight into human emotion and intent. Relationships become richer, communication clearer, and interactions more effective. Mastering rapport is not manipulation. It is understanding. When we tune into the silent signals, respond authentically, and respect emotional boundaries, we create influence rooted in trust. Observation, empathy, and alignment transform ordinary interactions into meaningful connection, demonstrating the quiet power of emotional intelligence in human relationships.